All right, everybody, welcome back into another live Six Rings and Football Things. It is myself, Mike Cadlick, alongside Andy Jumbo Hart. It is a new era officially in New England as myself and Andy Hart just returned from Jerod Mayo's introductory press conference as the new head coach of the New England Patriots. And we're here for some instant reaction, figure out what what we thought, what the heck's going on. Andy, you posted a column this morning, which we'll get to, that it was a must win for Bill. It got a lot of traction.
Jerod. Whoa. Jerod, not Bill.
See, it's tough to get used to. It is
Learn
tough
the
to
new
get used
coach's
to.
name.
That is my big takeaway from today, that it has become difficult to actually realize that it is now the Jerod Mayo era. It is not Bill Belichick. We are in a new head coaching regime here in Foxborough. And so we're going to get to our reactions here for the next 45 to an hour, however long we're going to go. But first, I want to start with a little bit of breaking-ish Patriots news where once we get back from the press conference, this is according to Phil Perry, the Patriots updated their staff, and Robin Glazer is now the executive vice president of football business and the senior advisor to the head coach. Glazer was a senior executive in the Kraft Group. She's been around since 2007. And according to Phil, she most recently served as the senior vice president of business affairs and chief administration and compliance officer for the team. So you obviously worked down there for many years before coming here. So can you give us the lowdown on Glazer and what you make of this? Because I'll give my takeaway after, but first, what you know on Glazer and sort of what we can expect here.
So my understanding is she's kind of going to become the Bears Nigerian, at least as part of her role. And for those who may or may not know, you might have, if you're listening to our podcast, you've probably heard the name Bears Nigerian or just Bears.
Mm-hmm.
You probably saw him in the background at some point, right next to behind Bill Belichick. He was Bill's right-hand man going all the way back to the Jets. He started in the Jets PR department, came here with Bill, and everything that's Bill went through Bears, basically. He handled everything for Bill. I think it sounds like Robin is going to do some of those duties for Jerod Mayo, but obviously I think a little bit more than that. She has a legal background. Okay. I think she's a lawyer. She has been in the organization, as you said, for quite some time in various roles, but has been a high-level point person between the team and the league for a long time. Sort of, if the NFL sends out a memo, she would be one of the 6 email addresses that they would send it to for the Patriots, and then those people would disseminate it through the rest of the organization. So, interesting person to have a significant to relatively significant role within the organization, I think. I don't want to make more of it than it is. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think she's picking number 3 overall.
Right.
And I don't, but it's probably a name we should be aware of and a role we should be aware of as we start this new Jerod Mayo era in New England.
Bill. So yeah, that's kind of, and yeah, you mentioned the not having her hands on the number 1 or the number 3 overall pick, and I guess that's sort of my takeaway here. Number 1 is that Robert was asked today, alongside Jerod Mayo, how much involvement himself and his son Jonathan will have in football operations. And he gave a good answer. It was, I think one of only a few good answers he really gave today. One thing I will say, and again, he alluded to Jonathan not being there for other business, responsibilities, but at least he showed up. At least he was there and he answered the questions. But his one real good answer, I thought, was that, he answered that as, we're not going to get involved because we trust ourselves to hire good people to do that job. And that will allow us to, analyze what they do and figure it out from there. And if we're involved, then we can't really figure out what they did right or wrong because our hands are all over it. And so we let them work, we take what they did, and then we decide if it's been good or bad and make adjustments that way. So you can only take his word for it, and I trust it. But I also then you look, in an hour after everybody kind of leaves, they announce that a non-football person is going to be attached to the football operation. Like you said, you can only hope that. And again, there's been a lot of traction of this already on social media, and she was actually mentioned in the Seth Wickersham piece on ESPN.
Yep, with Jonathan.
With Jonathan. And, there's already, I guess, negative traction around this because of a non-football person and Jonathan, and they're going to be involved, or they're going to try and be. And so she's already getting a bad rap here. You got to give them a chance. We'll see what happens. And then we'll go from there. But that's my takeaway from that and where we are with that. So let's get into what we saw today with Jerod Mayo. Mayo introduced as the 15th head coach. Overarching overall thoughts from your end on what we saw from both him and Robert this afternoon.
Didn't love it. I thought, first of all, a lot of what Jerod said was kind of a rehashing of what he said in his final Zoom call as linebackers coach, and kind of selling himself on the job. A lot of, I guess some people would probably call it corporate lingo, corporate speak, different, diversity of thought and echo chambers and things of that nature that I feel like he picked up, probably not from Bill Belichick, but more from the corporate world at Optum.
Yep.
You referenced that I wrote the column that I thought he had to win today. Like, I thought it was important to get off to a good start and not be one of these coaches that is a laughing stock off their first press conference.
The Dan Campbell biting kneecaps press conference.
Yeah.
Right. Or
I don't know
Sirianni for that matter. Right.
Yeah. I don't know that we got either end of the spectrum. He was in the middle somewhere, I think. I didn't love it. And I would say more in conjunction with Robert. It was a simultaneous press conference. They were both there at the podium. Just the Jonathan thing, just to reference, when the original email came out, it said Robert Kraft, Jonathan Kraft, Jerod Mayo would be there. Now, I'll take Robert at his word, I guess, that Jonathan had emergency business with one of the other Kraft Group corporations to deal with.
I was just on Jones and Mego, and we said maybe he was just letting the ink dry on Robin Glazer's new contract.
Maybe. I think there's going to be a lot of skepticism as to why Jonathan wasn't there. If we're being honest, I think a lot of people believe the Seth Wickersham story painted a certain picture of Jonathan and the Patriots that they probably want to distance themselves from and don't have Jonathan there today. That would be my skeptical viewpoint. My take it for what it is viewpoint. I'll take Robert at his word. If he wants to publicly tell me something, I'll believe it until proven otherwise. Now, if I find out Jonathan Kraft was like watching on a monitor from his office and doing nothing while doing push-ups, okay, but whatever, we'll take it for the word that it was. I will say the first thing I noted, definitely a different air, like literally in the room. There was a different aura, air, energy, whatever you want to call it. The building was nice. I've never been in the GP Atrium before. Big Jerod Mayo up on those screens, slide shows, the whole thing. The staff, and remember, I worked there for 18 years-ish. The staff was in a better mood. Everybody I talked to, from the elevator person, the security guard, everybody. And when I was leaving, an older woman who was running security at the top of the elevator, whatever, said, "Oh, that wasn't bad," or something. I go, "Yeah, that was pretty good." And she's like, "He actually answered questions." And I was like, okay, shot at the old coach.
That's awesome.
So I thought the air, Jerod started off with what I would say was a risky joke when Robert mispronounced one of his brother's names. And he said, "That's okay. It's one of those black names."
Yeah.
I like his comfort. He even referenced that a little bit later. Like, as you can see, I'm a little different up here. I handle things a little bit differently. But I guess I was most alarmed by or felt lacking any direction at all, like coaching staff direction. No. Front office. Well, we got some people here that we're learning and we're trying to figure out what they do. We're going to interview some other people and somebody will make the pick when it's time to make the pick. Like, I didn't love that whole, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like, in a way, you give them credit, right? Like, don't rush into anything.
Sure.
Take the tone and tenor of the organization, but why do you not know what you have? Why do you not know who Matt Groh is, who was there? I believe Elliot Wolf was also there on the other side of the room, which I found interesting. There was a large space between those two who could be vying for the GM job.
Right.
But why, when nothing has changed, like not a new owner, like the coach was there, the guy you might hire to be GM was there, why is it going to take time before we know who does what and how well they like? Yeah, I found that weird and mildly concerning.
I'm with you there. I think overall, everything we heard from Mayo, I thought was good, and it's basically what the elevator attendant told you, and it's that he actually answered questions, and he has this human side.
He responded with a smile and words that made you feel good, but did he
better? That's better than what we've had before. And
that's true. But did he answer anything.
Some things like what you need to fix on offense. He's like, well, we need to fix the culture. We need to fix relationships, and we need to find leadership. Like, I think that's an answer. I do.
Is that a shot at Mac? Are people spinning that as a shot
I
at Mac?
I don't think it was a shot at Mac. I thought it was a shot at maybe Bill, where we need to get that relationship back on track with the quarterback.
I thought the relationship stuff, the love before competency, the thing that he keeps beating home. I thought, I don't want to say it was a shot at Bill, but it was like a juxtaposition, like that worked for him a while ago. It may have stopped working at some point over the last few years. We're going to do it differently. We're going to, like, what did he say? I expect my position coaches to know their players better than me, like to know them on a personal level because they're closer to them, building bonds. Again, that feels like
the
corporate culture. Doesn't it feel like something I'd roll my eyes at in some meeting that they'd make us go to at Odyssey?
Yes.
Like, Odyssey, you guys got to go to this thing and learn about how you should know more about your coworkers and ask them how their kids are. And like that makes a better culture. And in the end, that'll be better ratings and better podcasts. And I'd be like, I'll do it because I have to do it for 45 minutes, but I think it's stupid.
Yeah. So the one thing I'll say, if that's how he wants to run his ship and they're going to respect it and they're going to gravitate towards that, then I'm fine with it. That very well can get stale fast. Like the thing you mentioned about corporate HR stuff, like when you start a new job and you're in your first job and you get all these things and there's all these gatherings and go-tos, it's like, oh yeah, let's go meet people. And then by 4 years in, you every email, you just don't even read it and you just swipe it away. And so like, I get that. And we'll see how that ends up. And we're literally only in day one here. And that's why this is an instant reaction pod. And we're not really analyzing what's gone on yet. But the one thing I'll say that, you talk about shots at Bill, the one that was a complete shot at Bill and he knew it. And so then when he said, and this is not a shot at Bill, he goes, titles are important. Titles are what get you elevated in this league. Titles are how people know what you do. And the fact that he never got a title change from linebackers coach in 4 years to now head coach was literally the biggest shot at Bill I've ever heard. And he had said it before where he had been asked about if he wants to be a head coach in the future. And he said, well, yeah, but you can't look at my title. You need to see what I've done and what I've built because my title doesn't tell you anything. Right. And so that's what I liked. He was like, he wants to empower other people in the organization. He wants to be a CEO. That's why the Crafts trust him here, is because they trust him as a leader of men. I don't know how good of a head football coach he's going to be. And that's the biggest question mark here. But he is clearly a leader of men, and he's going to clearly empower others, an offensive coordinator, defense coordinator, special teams coordinator, to run his football operation. He's going to kind of be the point person.
And the thing you just pointed out was actually my favorite part of the day for Jerod's purposes was I think he's respectful of Bill and he's trying to be respectful of Bill. But I also think there's a little piece of him that doesn't give a you-know-what. Like, I got to do this my way. I have beliefs. I'm going to say silo 6 times in a press conference. I'm going to have this. And people may roll their eyes and they may say that's corporate bunk. But that's what I believe in. I believe in diversity. I believe in these things. I thought he had a really interesting answer and pushback to Robert, who, when asked about becoming the first black head coach in the history of the Patriots, Robert said, I don't see color. I just see a guy who's the best man for the job. And Jerod was like, well, if you don't see color, you don't see racism. We need to see color. And I was like, damn, he just told the guy who started the Blue Square organization to open his damn eyes in a press conference. So I was like, dude's got balls. Dude,
I liked that. And I think that's what Kraft likes about him. Like,
I do too.
I think that, Kraft probably heard that and was like, what are you doing? He was like, oh, you know what? You're probably right. And I probably said that wrong. Right. So that's kind of, and that's good. And you mentioned having no direction and a little bit of awkwardness there. Like, that was one of the things that kind of threw me off, but it also tells you that Mayo is going to be his own man and he's going to, just say what he wants, but it's going to be calculated. And that's why I liked the press conference, at least from his perspective.
And I see from his, I guess, tone perspective, I liked it. Because again, I think it was a continuation. I think he really started this process the last Zoom of the season, telling people, I'm not Bill. All you people that keep saying you can't hire Mayo because he's just the next baby Bill, blah, blah, blah. I'm not Bill. I'm about love and I'm about this. And again, some people will roll their eyes. Some hardos will roll their eyes. Football is not a world of love. Right. It's a world of head banging and blah, blah, blah. but he does seem like he wants to stand on his own 2 feet. Now, I thought that was more of the look of it and the feel of it. There was no there, that famous quote. Like, there was no there for the overall substance. But, and I think even with Bill, the time he said, I had to get away and get away from football and Bill for a while or so. Like, he kind of threw that. Like, I like the little barbs. I like the not afraid to do that. I just wish there wasn't he reminded me of a politician. They both did. I said this to Mike Giardi afterwards. It reminded me of a politician who is running for president or office, so should have their ducks in order, should know what their platform is, know where they sit on issues, but they're afraid to give a strong answer knowing that they'll alienate one side or the other. And I can't do that. I'm trying to win an election, so I got to try to keep it vague, keep everybody interested in me. So that worries me. I know no more today. What was that? 45 minutes about something like that? 45 minutes into that press conference, I know no more today about what the Patriots are going to be moving forward than I did heading in. And I think that's a little, and again, I guess some would say, well, you want them to tell you the organizational flow chart and who they're going to draft and who they're going to sign. No,
we love Jaden Daniels.
But the head coach said, I'm going to trust the experts, but then also said, we're not really sure who the experts in the organization are yet.
So then let's get to that, because I'm curious from your point of view, what you make of this whole lack of, direction in the front office, where Reese reports that it's going to be Wolf, but then, some are saying it might be Grow and it might be a collab, and they keep using this word collaborative, and nobody really knows who's going to have final say. And from, I hate that. I think, and I'm sure you can still hear me while you tend to your dog. But my thing with that is, if you have a collaborative effort and no final say, then everyone's going to have a point of view. Everyone's going to have a say. They're going to make a decision. And then if the decision goes poorly, they're all going to go like this and say, no, it was him, not me. And so collaboration is great, but you still need that point person. We still, as bad as it was, we sort of still had Belichick to blame, because he even admitted up until the very end, you need someone to have final say. And I had final say. So who the bleep is going to have final say, and why haven't they really, why haven't they gone in that direction yet?
Yeah, and I like leaders that are willing to say, I don't know. He brought up the weight room's important. I loved that. That was music to a Hardo's ears. This is like high school football again. The plays
Alex
next
Guerrero
September.
Got a chill down his spine.
I did.
Yeah.
But then he's like, but I don't know anything about squats, so I'll just let them do their thing, which is his brother is one of the people in there.
True.
So, but he can't always be deferring to the quote unquote experts. There's going to be times where he's going to have to be the expert in the room, be the adult, be the decision maker. So it was a little, I don't know if unnerving is the word, because and there's two things to also keep in mind timeline wise. The Patriots are ahead of everybody because they've hired their head coach. Most teams brought their head coach back, but of the teams that can their coach, they're ahead of the process of hiring a new coach. But it doesn't feel like organizationally they're ahead. The Commanders do not have a coach yet. Who do you feel like is more organizationally ahead, the Commanders or the Patriots?
I would say the Commanders, because they have a general manager.
and whatever the other guy is. They brought in the team president who used to run the Warriors.
Yeah.
He hired Adam Peters. Now Adam Peters is like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go get my dude. And you're like, that seems very well organized.
Yeah,
and it's not a good thing if we're looking to Washington for an example of how to do things better. We're New England. We're supposed to be one of the marquee franchises, the most stable franchises under Robert Kraft. As he says, he's never picked this high in the draft, which again is true, and that's great. But it also means this pick is more important than any pick your organization has ever made. And you're saying, I don't know, we got some guys that we like, and we'll see how they do over the next few weeks, and we might hire no, I think you need to bring in a dude.
Yep. There needs to be
assign a dude.
Right. Yeah. There needs to be a sense of direction. There needs and again, the way that they're working now with Grow as the, director of player pro personnel and Wolf as the director of college scouting, they have their eyes on these guys, and you're not going to can them in January because they've only done half the work, and they've only done the work of like they have all their intel on the college scouts, and now you're just going to say see you later. Like, you need to work with those guys through the draft to see where you're going to go, but you also can't like work with those guys and then hire a new directional general manager or a new general manager with a different direction. Like, you need to have a GM in place, or at least appoint one of those guys as your general manager. And even if they don't want to use the title, you need a point person. And that's kind of my whole thing. You need to have a sense of direction for where the team is. You can't bring in someone post-draft, like was mentioned by Schefter. That's just going to muddy the waters even more. And like, I don't know. It bothers me that they don't really have someone who is conjoined at the hip with Mayo in the front office right now. And maybe they are, and maybe we just don't know that. But we can only go by what we've heard and what we've seen reported.
Yeah, I still think in the end it's going to be Elliott Wolf. I think Elliott Wolf is going to ascend to whatever the title, whatever the role, highest personnel person,
vice president of personnel, what Pioli was for so long.
Right.
Yeah.
But even that water is muddied because Mike Giardi put like basically half these people could leave with Bill once Bill gets a job somewhere. Like that Matt Groh is loyal to Bill, that there's even a chance that Elliott Wolf could move on with them, that Josh McDaniels and Bill O'Brien could go with Bill. And like, so, and there's been reports that Matt Groh is talking to some potential free agents and all that. And I'm joking, but I'm not joking. Who's he talking for? Is he like, so you like New England? And if they say no, he says, what about Atlanta? Because a little birdie told me Atlanta might be interested in you in a couple of weeks. Like, there's just a lot of weirdness. And even as you mentioned, you keep people around because they've done the legwork. They have the information. Bobby Greer was canned after the 2000 draft when Bill Belichick arrived. Bobby Greer was the head personnel dude. I don't know what his title was. It wasn't GM, but he was the head of personnel. He stayed. They drafted. By the way, they drafted Tom Brady. And then he was asked to leave the organization because now it's Bill Belichick's time and it's Scott Pioli's time and it's a new regime. So it's not foreign to football. That's actually kind of how it works. You finish out your draft. I believe most of their contracts even go through the end of the draft. Like if they run out, they run out on April 29th or whatever of that year. So, okay, that's structure. We're fixating a lot on structure, lack of definition of the structure and all of that. Can I tell you something else that alarmed me? And people are going to get mad at me. Your guy, Rob Alvarez from Pats fans, who's been all over me on the
don't connect me with him. He's in everybody's mentions. He's not a my guy.
You're from that world a little bit though. You're
young? We're young
Pats fan, super fan, positive. Oh, anything that's against the team is a hot.
No, I'm not that. No, I am very much. And as positive I've been about the Patriots, I know I can pick my spots on when to critique this team. But regardless, go ahead with your guy Alvarez.
Well, and he told me that basically my opinion isn't my opinion. It was a hot take. I was trying to get clicks that Mayo didn't need to win the day and it didn't matter. And not that it wasn't true. It was that I don't believe it was his. And
interesting.
I believe everything I write. Do I fluff it up occasionally? Sometimes. We all do.
That's
now,
the profession.
I bet you he didn't have a problem when you fluffed up your Mac Jones column a couple weeks ago.
Exactly.
He was probably like, good job, Cadlick. You're a man, Cadlick. So it's all about the sort of information in there. If it's got a little negative hint or anything, it's not perfect for the team. People like Rob Alvarez, if you can look him up on Twitter, if you want to take part in some really mind-draining, mind-numbing back and forths where he calls you a dick, because he called me a dick. Imagine that, me, a dick.
Find this. You, of all people.
Of all people, me, a dick. He also told me to grow up. Wait, why does everybody tell me to grow up all the time? I don't want to grow up.
Yeah. Want to be a Toys R Us kid.
So if something bothered me, what did you make of the idea that Robert decided in Israel 4 years ago that Jerod Mayo was his next football coach?
So
I didn't care for that story, and I didn't care for I don't know. I didn't care for it.
I don't put it this way. I don't think that's when he actually decided on it.
That's what he said. He goes, I knew that this was the man.
But so the reason they hired him is not his X's and O's as a football coach.
Oh, right.
At least the reason they hired him is because of his CEO and business background and how they think he can be a leader of men and defer to people and, you know, bring people together and things like that. And so I think Robert saw that in Israel and looked back and said, maybe that's the first time I realized this was the type of guy he is. And then just like you did with your piece on Mayo and just like I did with my piece on Mac, he fluffed it up and said, that's when I decided that Mayo was going to be my head coach. So if that is actually when it decided, then that's probably not good because a lot more things happened between then and there. But
yeah. So does that mean if he hadn't gone on that trip to Israel, he wouldn't have become like the butterfly effect? He wouldn't be the head coach today?
Maybe. The butterfly effect is pretty real. You never know what happens there. But no, I don't know. I don't look that. I put it this
Robert
way.
was just telling stories. You're telling me like kind of fluffing it up, telling stories.
They fluffed up the fact that they weren't going to bring football people in, and then they just hired Robin Glazer an hour later. We can always rely on Bill Belichick, except for one time this year. There was one time where he didn't tell the truth in a press conference this year, and I noted that with somebody else on the beat earlier this year. I forget what it was. I'll think of it as I go. But he either doesn't answer Bill Belichick or he tells the truth in some form or fashion. He does not lie when he stands up there and talks. The one time he did lie was when he said Demario Douglas wasn't benched for poor play, when he clearly was this season. That was a lie. He said that he was when he fumbled or whatever. That was the one lie I've ever heard Bill Belichick tell.
He
always tells the truth. Sure.
Well,
he does.
I agree. He doesn't lie.
Mm-hmm.
I've always said that. I said that for years with Paul Perillo. He'll never paint himself into a corner where he can be proven that he was being dishonest.
Exactly.
But there is a certain dishonest nature of saying, I don't know. Like, you do know.
Right. Okay.
That's kind of a lie.
Sure. But he does, again, he can't be painted into that corner by saying, I don't know. And so my point being is that we've already caught Robert Kraft and the new regime in two lies over these, because he did not decide to make him the head coach in Israel, and they did have an idea of bringing some non-football person into the football operation. But I digress. That's where we are. What are we at? 27. What else we got? What else we want to hit on here before we get out of here about this presser?
Well, I did forget to mention when you brought it up earlier. I do think in regards to titles, my guess would be, because I actually consider that Bill breaking his own rules, the famous Bill line of do business as business is being done. Well, business in the NFL, everybody gets a title. Everybody gets on the little list of coaches. It's why I think it's a little misleading when everybody says the Patriots have the smallest coaching staff, the smallest this. I think they list less people than other teams do. I think you will see Jerod list more people. I absolutely think you'll have an offensive coordinator, a defensive coordinator, an assistant head coach, a special teams, assistant. I think all of those guys will be listed. But I think a lot of those guys already existed. They're just going to get kind of put in writing. Right. They're going to get their just desserts or whatever. Were there any other major issues that stood out to you? Either what did you think of Mac Jones being there?
Look, I've said all along about him. He's a worker. He's a hard worker. He wants to be there. He wants to be here. He wants to be an NFL football player. That tells me he was in the building working out, trying to get some stuff done. I don't think he just showed up there. He was in a sweatsuit and a sweatshirt.
You think he's put on like 8 more pounds?
Yeah, that was look. Hey, he probably did gain some weight. 7 or 8 pounds was probably a bit of a stretch. Or the way he said, like, it's been a couple weeks. I'm sure that might have been over the season that he gained that much.
What's Sophie putting in those cookies?
Exactly. But no, it tells me that he wants to still be here and that he's a team guy. And I don't think there was anything negative about him being there. I thought it was kind of funny and awkward when everyone's talking about, well, you need a quarterback, and are you going to take a quarterback at number 3? And what's this? And then he's standing there back there like, oh, they're literally just
I'm right here.
Talking about me. But
I would not have gone. If I were him, I wouldn't have gone.
Why?
I don't know. I just can guarantee you, I'm just being 100% honest. If I were Mac Jones in Mac Jones's position, there is 0.0% chance I would have been in that room.
I think it's but do you think it was a good idea or a bad idea? Because I think it's a good idea. I think you show your face and you say, I'm still here. I'm still under contract. I'm still going to try work my ass off to be the quarterback, no matter who the head coach is.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can tell me on that.
So that was my take on it. Was that
now you're right though. You got to be ready for the shrapnel, the strays, as they say. Like,
of course,
for Jerod talking about offensive leadership and things.
He's built up enough of a callus this year. I would think that he can kind of take just about anything at this point.
I would hope so, because there's been a lot coming his way. A lot of it earned. Now, I'm not
Oh
saying
yeah, for
it's all
sure. No,
unfair.
yeah.
A lot of it earned by him.
But I think he knows that. I think he knows that.
Oh, I
You
do.
know?
I think Mac knows a lot of things in the calm periods that he
Sure.
loses perspective on in the heat of the moment and things of that
I
nature.
think that's fair to say. Yep.
Like, I think he
Totally.
loses his mind a little bit at various times.
Mhm.
Now there were some alumni there, Jerod Mayo. I mean, Devin McCourty.
Mhm.
Sorry, they're kind of
Come
the
on,
same
we
guy to
can't
me.
figure it out. We just can't
They're
get
like
those.
they're like Bill's favorite player. They were both
Yeah.
captain, I think, in year 2. But I saw Rob Ninkovich was there. Other players were there. Joe Cardona, I laughed just because I was like, "Why is the long snapper here?"
Yeah, right.
Jawan Bentley, obviously, that's his guy. That's the captain of the linebacker room.
Uche, John
Uche was
Jones.
there, so I thought there was good support from players, which I would expect based
Mhm.
on what we've seen from players here, not here. Like, he got a lot of support on social media when it became public that he was going to be
Mhm.
the next head coach. I was a little surprised, and I could have asked the question, but I was in the back and I knew I would never get the microphone. I was a little surprised. There was almost, I'm trying to think back in all the questions here, almost no allusions to the Seth Wickersham story. Like, I thought there might be a baseball bat question. So, Jerod, there was one report out there that you like to swing a baseball bat over people's heads in
All right,
meetings.
can I get to that?
Go
What's
ahead.
what's the big deal about him swinging a baseball bat?
Over people's heads?
Did it say over their heads, or
Did
did
it
it
not?
just say that he would just carry a baseball bat into a meeting and swing it? Like, I didn't understand that, and maybe I
Okay,
read it wrong.
I need to clarify that then, because I agree with you. I keep making the comparison to Tom Cruise in A Few Good Men when they do all their meetings has a baseball bat. And I don't think Demi Moore's character or the
Mhm.
other guy's character were threatened in any way. I thought this kind of insinuated that there was a bullying or threatening, like, I thought it said swung it over their heads.
I'm gonna look at it now because I just didn't see, like, everyone was like, oh, he's a
Well, and
baseball, and then and I think Curran talked about it on TV and said like it was a mini souvenir baseball bat,
yeah, and I
and
don't
that's
want to
why
be.
Wickersham is, honestly, that's why Wickersham is so good at his job,
Oh
because
yeah.
he tells a story and talking about puffing things up. It's like I was sitting there with my phone on Friday reading that story, like almost like drooling, like this is so good.
Oh,
Like
it's really good.
it's very interesting. And again, if it's a baseball bat or if it's a mini Tykes bat, he's going to call it a baseball bat, and you can interpret it how you
Not
like.
lying. Not
Exactly,
lying.
just like Bill Belichick.
And I would also argue, and I want to be careful here because some of these people can be sensitive. We also need to remember that Jerod
Mhm,
Mayo worked at NBC Sports Boston.
mhm.
Like, we just have to. I'm
Sure.
sorry. There's like biases, there's relationships. My guess is they're going to give Jerod Mayo at NBC Sports Boston, producers, talent, everyone, the benefit of the doubt. They're going to, if there is an at
Sure.
all possibility to see something positive or negative, they're going to take the positive side of it. So I just want to make sure we're clear on kind of that.
No, I don't disagree. Well, I can't find the Wickersham piece right now. It's my computer will blow up if I try and do it, because you
You
know
were
how this
starting to
thing
pause,
goes.
I
But
noticed. So yeah, don't do that anymore.
yeah, exactly.
Your
Yeah,
head
I
was starting
won't.
to freeze a little.
Yeah, I'm just gonna keep my hands off until we end the recording here. So, anything else we want to touch on before we get out of here from our nice instant reaction pod to the new era in Foxborough?
I'm trying to look because I wrote down a lot of crap over the course of
Mhm.
45 minutes, for various reasons. Like I told you, there was a few. I'm not trying to be Bill. Like, there was some definitive
Mhm.
distancing from Bill Belichick, which I liked and I think was important. We've said it a million times. Josh McDaniels, Joe Judge, Matt Patricia. You can't be Bill. You can't pretend to be Bill. You have to be you. And a lot of them failed
Mhm.
in that area. If you were going to grade this, so I was thinking about this because I think we can all say Nick Sirianni was like a D maybe last year or
Mhm.
a few years ago in Philly.
Couple years.
Um,
Yeah.
Joe Judge, I would say, was kind of like a C minus hardo when he arrived at the Giants. Adam Gase had the whole taco meme thing with his crazy eyes chasing tacos all over the
Yeah.
screen. If you were going to grade, first of all, give me a grade for Robert Kraft, a grade for Jerod Mayo, and then a grade for the program, I guess, that we saw.
All right. I'm going to go Robert Kraft gets a C-.
Jiminy Christmas. The man has children.
That's still a C. He's fine. He's passing.
C- is like, if you come home to my house with a C-, you're in trouble, sir.
Well, he didn't even. Robert gets a C-.
Damn.
Because he didn't force his son to be there too. That's why.
Oh. So you don't. Whoa. So you don't necessarily believe what he said.
Who?
Robert.
No. I don't. I start to wonder, like, what more business underneath the Kraft Group umbrella is more important than the new head coach of the New England Patriots?
What if a paper pulp plant in China exploded and there's the possibility that 700 people could be dead?
Now, okay, so all right, he gets an A. No, like, all right.
I feel like we would have heard about that on the news too.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And so I guess we have to take Robert's word for it. So I still think a C. We'll go with a C because he showed up, he faced the music, and he answered questions. I think Jerod Mayo, I'm going to give him a B+. I wanted to give him an A-, but you might jump through the screen if I did so.
No.
And so I'm going to go B+.
Give him what you want to give him.
B+. He gets a B+. Robert gets a C. The whole thing gets a B-.
Okay. So I will give
you know what? No, scratch that. The whole thing gets a B+, and Jerod gets an A- because I liked what he had to say, and I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt.
You should. You're younger than me. You're in that generation of stupid corporate lingo and thinking it means something.
Stupid. Are you showing up to the all hands on Odyssey meeting tomorrow?
No, I'm not. But I am going to the Christmas party.
Oh, you are? Nice.
Okay. Are you going?
I don't know. When is it?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
I'm not going to tell you where on a live stream.
No, nobody's going to show up to that. But we'll see. Nobody's going to show up to that from here is what I'm saying. Anyway.
So I would say Robert Kraft, I'm going to give a C-, just like you.
What?
Yeah. For me, the jumping off point for his grade is I did not like the Israel trip thing. And he was being honest because I've always heard the story about his first wife, Myra Kraft. He fell in love with her like the first night and said, I'm going to marry you, basically. And apparently he did the same thing. He brought it up with his wife now, Dana, that he only needs one night to know that that's the woman for me. And that's awesome. Like, if that's true, that's cool.
Well, and he did it with Belichick, and he said he regretted not making him the man right away.
Yeah. So what?
Oh, there's one more thing we have to get to when you finish.
Okay. But so 2019, like, this just feels, the timeline feels weird. I don't know. Good story. Great. I do give him credit for his conviction and learning from the time he didn't trust his gut and going with Pete Carroll and regretting it immediately. He has now said that twice in like a week. Somewhere Pete Carroll should be like, hey, listen, I turned out to be a pretty good coach. Could you stop taking pop shots at me at how your biggest regret in all of life was hiring me? Jeez. Could be worse, Mr. Kraft. You could have thrown the ball on the goal line to give another team a Super Bowl.
He might as well have said that because it was that much of a slap in the face to Pete.
So, Mr. Kraft, C-. I am going to give Jerod. See, I feel like I almost need to break it down into the presentation of like his energy, his words. Okay, you did a good job. I'd give you a B, a solid B for that. Information and direction, I'm giving you a D. And so I'll average those out at like a B-, C+. And I would say the same thing for the entirety of the production. I would give it a B, a solid B. Actually, no, C. Sorry. No. You're right. The first email I got said Jonathan Kraft would be there, and Jonathan Kraft wasn't there. You got to be downgraded a full letter grade for that.
I'm with you.
Because if it was that big a deal, couldn't you have postponed this? If it was really a truly like an earth-shaking organizational,
like 700 people dying that you just tried to put on me. Yeah,
we have to temporarily delay Robert Kraft and Jerod Mayo meeting the media because there is tragedy halfway around the world or something. So C. I'm going C all the way around. It's very blah. I actually, do you think we'll be? So I guess he had a few things. I'm not Bill Belt. Whatever. Will we be referencing this for very long? Will we be using audio clips, drops on the radio? Will there be legs and life to this press conference?
Some pieces, yeah, I would say. But I don't think it was. I don't think it was like earth shattering by any means. I just think it was a sort of a moment in time where you see the transition from Bill to Mayo, and that's why I ultimately think they won or he won the press conference, and that's why I give him a B plus. But I mean, are we gonna come back to it like we really didn't do that with Bill's either, his introductory press conference. So no, I just think it was a fine production that put a start to the Mayo era, if you will.
Okay, the more I think about this, just to wrap this, we're getting close to the end. I know you have one more thing. I hate it.
Oh my God.
No,
why?
You know what it reminds me of?
You're just doing that.
No.
You're just doing that.
Because I just read him one of the quotes from Robert. We don't have a fixed formula. This reminds me of, it's Friday night, it's 5:30, and you go, hey honey, what do you want to do for you want to get some food tonight? Sure. What do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do? And it's like, yeah, I was thinking, how about the seafood place? I don't really want seafood. And by 7:30, we haven't eaten. Now we're both angry at each other for not getting this ball moving. This doesn't work. You cannot have this lack of definition and direction. I'm telling you, they're going to be fighting and hungry by 9 o'clock, sleeping one on the couch and one in the bed. This is not going to end well.
So then you think my take on that was that they just weren't going to answer the question yet. Like, there's definitely things moving in the direction, but they sort of made it into, no, this is a celebration of us, focusing on Jerod, and we'll figure that out later.
When is later?
I don't know. They don't want to answer questions. Clearly, they don't want to answer questions on it because they
don't have answers.
The second everybody, but they did. They had an answer. They gave Robin Glazer the job.
Yes, that's a bad answer.
Well, that's what it was, and they avoided it, and they put it out after the press conference, which is still
February 15th, 14th, February sometime. There's a franchise tag window that opens. Mike Onwenu, Kyle, doesn't somebody have to make a decision? Who's making that decision? So a month from now,
we don't know. We better.
Is that good?
No, it's bad.
But
do we have to know? Now I'm getting all Bill Belichick.
No, they have to know. I don't think they know.
They do.
They don't need to tell me.
Don't.
I don't think they know. That's the one part of them I believe that they don't know.
I think they do know. I think they don't want to tell us, and I don't know why.
Are they worried that they're going to push? Let's just go with our rumblings that Elliot Wolf at some point will elevate. Are they worried they're going to lose Groh sooner rather than later? Don't want to push him out the door. You can't fire me. I quit. I'll go with Bill. I'm taking my ball and going home.
No, I think they probably just wanted to keep today about Mayo, and they didn't want to sit there and say, oh, yeah, that guy in the back, he's in charge of everything.
So Schefter's wrong that they're in, because he reported they're in no rush and they might not do anything till after the draft.
Is Rappaport wrong?
Usually.
Rappaport said that they
were. Usually he is.
All right, fine. All right. Yeah, it's true. He was on the Bill had signed a lucrative extension.
If you make me pick between those two guys, I'll go on the side of Schefter. Now, I'd really like Jay Glazer, who I don't think is related to Robin Glazer. I don't even know if it's the same spelling.
Nope.
I'd like him to chime in because he's never wrong. I would like a more.
Wait. Schefter and Reese are both right.
You know, we used to call them on Patriots.com right pocket and left pocket because they were in the pockets of the team.
Okay, well, they know what's going on then. They're not in a rush. They're not going to ever make a GM, but they know that Elliot Wolf's going to be the guy, and he's not going to be the GM, so they're not hiring a GM, but Elliot Wolf is in charge.
So what does he get to do? Does he get to sign all free agents? Does he get to make franchise tag decision? Does he get to make the pick at number 3?
Collaboratively,
No, we're not doing the collaborative. Collaborative?
I don't want to. They are. I'm not doing it.
Do you believe in collaborative?
No. Well, I think people should help, but I don't. I love your reaction whenever I give an answer and immediately go back on it. No, I believe in that to an extent, but I think that somebody needs to have the final say in the collaboration.
At some point, they're going to be on the clock. At some point, like a trade. Well, I need an answer now. Do you want to trade a 3 and a 5 for this guy? Do you want somebody has to have the balls to say yes or no? Or as I used in my example, and we've all been there. I don't care if you're heterosexual, homosexual, whatever your relationships are. If you've ever been in a relationship, doesn't even need to be romantic, can be friends. We've all been in that spot where we're all getting angry because no one steps up to the plate. It can be 4 dudes, right? that are just hanging out, college football buddies. If you're all like, I don't care, what do you think? Yeah, that's an idea, maybe. And then we're all starving and we don't get dinner.
Yep.
This doesn't seem to bother you as much as it bothers me.
I don't know why, but I kind of feel like I feel like they're not giving off as much as is actually happening on the inside.
So you're giving
like clearly
credit. Okay, you're giving them credit for
no, not credit. I just okay, like again, I keep going back to the Robin Glazer hiring. Like they're not just sitting there waiting around. They're making stuff happen behind the scenes. They're just not making us privy to it.
Wait, do you think she's making the pick?
No, but I think she's the highest assistant to the head coach. Clearly, she's going to have some sort of involvement in the football operation.
Yeah, but I don't even know what that means. I don't.
Me either.
I don't know about that. Like, she could be siloed. She could be siloed with Mayo. Maybe she's in the Mayo world. I don't know what relationship she's going to have with Elliot Wolf. Is she going to be in the war room? Who's going to be in the war room?
Jonathan. and I'm kind of with you. It is a little bit it is concerning, but I think we need to just kind of sort of wait and see, because they're not going to give us any answers, and they do have stuff going on behind the closed doors.
But they also said they're waiting and seeing. Like Robert definitely,
but they're not.
He was like,
because
we're evaluating the people we have. We might interview some people from the outside. We're figuring out what we have. Like, shouldn't this?
Yeah, so wheels are turning.
Yeah, but the problem with that is, okay, clarify for me. So in 2019 in Israel, you decided Jerod Mayo was the next head coach.
No, he didn't. We already determined that was a lie.
Okay, so then let's just go back a year. Last January, you decided Jerod Mayo is the next head coach.
They quite literally did then. Yes.
Okay. You didn't think, well, who's going to be the GM, or who's going to be the director of player personnel, or who's going to be the offensive coordinator? Like, you didn't go the next level down and think the whole plan through a little bit more detailed?
No, I think it's a problem, Andy. Like, I'm not sitting here saying that they're in a good spot. I think they should have a point person.
Right.
But the thing is, I think they do have a point person.
Who?
I think it's Elliot Wolf.
So Elliot Wolf, you think, because another question that didn't really get asked, and again, I was going to, but I should have sat closer to the front. It's like class. They tell the coaches always say, sit in the front, blah, blah, blah. I should have sat closer to the front. Does Jerod Mayo have full autonomy on his coaches? Like, does he get to hire and fire anybody he wants for the coaching staff?
From my understanding, he does. From what I read from Bert Breer last week, that he's going to have, again, I think he literally said he's going to have full disclosure on his coaching staff. And then Mayo said today that these aren't all my guys, so I'm going to figure out what I want to do with my staff.
Yeah.
So I think
I wish somebody had asked, like, head on. Do you?
Yeah.
Robert and Jerod. This is a question for both of you. Does Jerod have full autonomy to hire and fire his assistant coaches? I would have liked a little clarity on that. Now, again, we probably wouldn't have gotten it. Well, we're going to see what happens as things unfold or something.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know.
All right. Let's finish it off with one more quick thought. And we kind of touched on it a little bit. We didn't actually talk about him, though. The shade at Bill Parcells.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. Our guy, Kevin Stone from the New England Football Journal, has been banging the table for Bill Parcells to get in the Patriots Hall of Fame. Oh, my God. Will that not ever, ever, ever happen here after what we saw today? That was nuts. I didn't know that there was that much animosity towards him. I know it ended badly, and I know he left it after the Super Bowl, but he didn't say his name. He didn't say what team he went to. He said the other guy that was here who we had a bad relationship with, or basically something along those lines. That was tough.
Yeah. I learned that lesson. I also think Parcells should be in the Patriots Hall, and I wrote a column about it a few years ago. And let's just say I heard about it after writing the column.
What outlet was that with? Was that here or elsewhere? For
WEI? Yeah. I heard about it, and the message was sent from, let's just say, an elevated position within the Patriots organization. So, that is the old saying, over my dead body. I think Bill Parcells, you know what it might be at this point? A dead Bill Parcells will posthumously enter the Patriots Hall of Fame over the dead body of Robert Kraft. And I'm not sure that Jonathan will let it happen either. Like,
that's
even
fair.
Now, fans, I think fans have also, by extension, taken it on, so they make sure. Like, I don't think there's a lot of people voting for Parcells when it gets to the three people on Patriots.com. And I mean, there's always going to be great candidates now. Edelman's and Brady's and Gronkowski's and Belichick's. And I mean, it's going to be endless.
Yep.
So Parcells will not be alive if he gets in the Patriots Hall of Fame, and he probably will never get in. I think he should be in. I think he brought legitimacy to the franchise. But today is not about him. It's about Jerod Mayo.
You're right.
He brought legitimacy. He brought new age. He brought corporate culture, corporate bunk. And I'm not saying these with tone. He brought what he brings, and he believes in it. It may work. Like, there's a lot of, I mean, I don't know the corporate world that well, but I'm guessing there's a lot of really successful corporations that are making billions and billions of dollars and kicking ass and taking names built around some of the principles that Jerod Mayo believes in. So hopefully
I agree
with that and a quarterback, he'll be fine. More likely than not, he wins 4 to 5 games, and we're in another important offseason next year. But for right now, I would like to know, and hopefully you're right, they know, who is signing free agents, who is going to make the final decision at number 3, because I believe this right now. We are in the midst. What is it? January, 17th. Between now and April 28th, I think, whatever the draft is.
Somewhere around there. Yep.
We are in one of the most critical stretches in the history of the Patriots organization, because I don't know if you noticed what he slipped in there. Jerod Mayo said, and hopefully that leads to or starts the next dynasty. He used the D word. He used the D word, which I thought was ballsy and dumb, but
and that well, he's not afraid, and that's sort of what we learned today. So I like that. We'll see where it goes. Crafts have their intuition on him. He trusts himself, so that's all we can take from now. So that's going to do it for us here on Six Rings of Football Things on this instant reaction to the Jerod Mayo press conference, appointing him as the next head coach, the 15th in Patriots history. We'll be back here on Six Rings of Football Things all offseason long, breaking down everything that's going on with this potential start of a new dynasty in Foxborough. So make sure to follow along, rate, review, subscribe, all that good stuff. Listen on the Odyssey app. He's Andy Jumbo Hart. I'm Mike Cadlick. And until next time, thanks for watching and thanks for tuning in.